Today we're going to look at multi-step equations when we need to use the distributive property. So just like multi-step equations with just our variables on one side, step 1 is going to be to distribute, step 2 combine like terms, and step 3 we're going to need to solve for the variable. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at my first equation. 14 equals negative parentheses p minus 8. Well, what number comes between this negative sign and this parentheses if you don't see it? Remember, there's always an imaginary 1 there. So I'm going to distribute that to p, and I'm going to distribute that to negative 8. So I'll have negative 1 times p and negative 1 times negative 8. So then, after I have figured out how to distribute that, I'm going to rewrite my equation. And I have 14 equals negative 1p, or you can simply write negative p. Negative 1 times negative 8 is a positive 8. At this point, I have a two-step equation. So I'm going to circle my couple or just figure out what needs to stay together until the very, very end. In this case, it is negative 1p. So how do you kick out that third wheel? How do you undo plus 8? What's the inverse operation? It would be subtracting 8 or negative 8. If you do it to one side, you have to do it to both sides. 14 minus 8 will give you 6 equals negative 1p. At this point, we need to break up negative 1 times p. So what is the inverse operation, or how do you undo multiplying? You're going to divide by negative 1 on both sides. So 6 divided by negative 1 will give you negative 6 equals p. And that would be your answer for this first one. The second one, it says negative 16 equals negative 7, parentheses, negative 6 plus 8n, parentheses, plus 3 minus 5n. There's a lot going on in this problem. We've got to take it one step at a time. Step 1, we need to distribute. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my arrows from negative 7. So I would have negative 7 times negative 6 and negative 7 times 8n. All I'm going to do on that first step is distribute those two numbers. So negative 7 times negative 6 would give me 42. Negative 7 times 8 would give me a negative 56n. And then I'm just going to rewrite plus 3 minus 5n, because we can't forget that those two things are up there and not bring them down. Now, when we get to a step like this, I know I can see that I have regular numbers and I have terms with variables. I'm going to circle just my terms with variables because I want us to take this one step at a time. So negative 56 minus 5 is what we need to look at first. So I'm going to rewrite everything that I have. So negative 16 equals 42. Then I have negative 56 minus 5, which will give me negative 61n. And then I can't forget that I have that plus 3 up there. It doesn't go away yet. So at this point, my new equation is negative 16 equals 42 minus 61n plus 3. Well, I still have like terms to combine. I have a 42 and I have a positive 3. Well, what is 42 plus 3? 45. Then I'm going to rewrite everything else that I have. Negative 16 equals 45 minus 61n. At this point, I have a two-step equation. I can circle my couple. Circle the one with the variable that you want by itself at the very end. Well, how do you undo a positive 45? You'll subtract 45 on both sides. Negative 16 minus 45 will give you negative 61 equals negative 61n, because I'm just writing down that whole term back over here on the right-hand side. So I have negative 61 equals negative 61n. So now I'm ready to undo negative 61 times n. How do you undo multiplying, or how do you break up that couple? We're going to divide by negative 61 on both sides. Negative 61 divided by negative 61 is positive 1. So positive 1 equals n will be my answer to that equation.